Hello and welcome to the NetSuite Nonprofit SuiteSuccess video series. In the next 10 minutes, we'll be taking a tour of NetSuite focusing on the grant administrator role in our SuiteSuccess program. If you've spoken with someone at NetSuite prior to watching this video, it's likely that you're about to attend an alignment call with your account executive and members of our solutions team. Since this video is focused on the grant administrator role in a nonprofit context, you should know that you can find an overview video for the SuiteSuccess program on your YouTube channel playlist. This presentation will start with a very brief overview of the SuiteSuccess program that you've already heard about from our previous Overview for Nonprofits recording and from the NetSuite people you've already met from our team. We'll consider what SuiteSuccess has to offer the grant administrator's areas of responsibilities by looking at a NetSuite demonstration followed by a quick discussion of next steps. Before we jump into our content, we're obliged by our legal team to display this slide just in case there are any forward-looking statements made during this presentation. When you think about what makes NetSuite truly unique for nonprofits, it comes down to how we leverage the leading practices that we've built into our SuiteSuccess offering and implementation services. After over 750 successful nonprofit implementations, we've discovered that there's a tremendous amount of commonality between those deployments. Nonprofit organizations like yours walk through our leading practices approach, and we work together as a team to create a successful implementation approach and priority. To help organizations realize the value of NetSuite on day one, we've created over 250 pre-built reports, dashboards, and business intelligence tools into the product, ensuring that our customers have a strong foundation for running their organization and getting up and running in less than 100 days. Let's get right to it today. We'll log in and take a look at dashboard objects intended to make the day-to-day use of NetSuite easy for the grant administrator. We'll take a look at a grant in the pre-award status and place it in an operational state, connect revenue and expense transactions in a budget, and attach a related project record for time and expense entry. To wrap up, we'll take a look at the NetSuite reporting from a grant administrator's point of view. In the grant administrator role, we're concerned with users that have the primary responsibilities of coordinating, overseeing, and the administration of ongoing programs to include budgeting, both annual and event budgets, organizing reports about program statistics, staffing and coordinating project communications, and controlling program activities. The intent of this role in SuiteSuccess is to take the complicated responsibilities across these critical areas of your organization and focus the user experience to gain efficiency and assurances that the grant and any project-related functions have been properly addressed. Let's log in and consider some typical activities from the grant administrator's perspective. In our dashboards, users have easy access to navigation portlets and links to frequently used forms for tasks like those we'll see today. Here on the user's dashboard, the SuiteSuccess operations and key performance metrics concerning grant revenue, expenses, and trends are updated each in real time from all transactions happening across the entire system and all user sessions. Having a single system like this in which your entire team collaborates gives everyone greater visibility and makes your teamwork much more efficient. As you can see, I can click on these metrics and drill into the transactions that tie back to these numbers in the system. While any user is working in NetSuite, many common tasks like shortcuts and reminders make access to reporting and common data entry tasks faster with fewer errors, resulting in improved business processes. These portlets can be rearranged and their settings can be customized by each user, and NetSuite will remember how you left your homepage to give you that extra bit of self-service we all desire. Let's take a look at the 3 pre-award opportunities I'm tracking. Here we're looking at a list of open pre-award grants used for tracking purposes of the assigned grant administrator. If an external system is being used to prepare and format proposals, our users would keep a record here to allow the pre-award reporting for metrics related to revenue forecasting in NetSuite. When we look at the grant record in NetSuite, we're storing all of the important information that we need to be reporting on, as well as milestones and terms. Each transaction will be linked to the grant ID at the line level for direct expense attribution, as well as indirectly via allocation schedules. It's at this point that we need to decide how to handle the specific revenue and expense accounting for this grant going forward. What we see most often is that when a restricted grant is awarded, the grant management and accounting teams will determine the proper accounting treatment of each transaction. The segment value assigned at the line level back here from the pre-award or opportunity record is providing the required GL impact for tracking and reporting back to your teams. As an example, if cash is taken up front, it's often held as a current liability, and the total of direct and indirect expenses that were assigned to the grant in any period are used to then calculate the amount of revenue earned in that period, decreasing the amount in the liability account. If there's no cash up front and the grant is to be invoiced, the decision to associate a billing schedule at the line level can automate invoicing over time based on predefined logic. At that point, a separate decision may need to be made to define revenue recognition rules. These rules can automate the movement of funds from a deferred revenue account periodically and provide a big time saving to your teams. Let's assume this record is awarded and Jackson needs to operationalize the grant. One click from the Actions menu and we can turn this into a live awarded grant for revenue, expense, and project management tracking. No duplication of data entry is required. All of the pre-award information flows directly into the order for grant billing, acceptance of deposits or payments, as well as linking to a project record for task management or time and expense entry, as we'll see later. The grant administrator has created a billable order record with 3 line items. We'll invoice for this across 3 years, using both the time restriction segment and the billing schedule to provide critical reporting back to your teams. The billing schedule will automate the invoices as you see here in the billing subtab, and the time restriction will help you report on the year in which you need to spend the funds. In the item definition for the state grant item, it's assumed that we'll post to a deferred revenue account prior to receiving grant funds, and we intend to recognize revenue periodically as expenses are incurred over time here. Let's bill the first of 3 manually to create a revenue transaction for reporting later in our demonstration. Now in the grantor invoice, all records are linked together for auditing and reporting purposes. We now see a posting transaction in the deferred revenue account along with the information needed to include this in our statement of activities for this grant. Since we're here, let's add a new project to accommodate billable and non-billable time and expense entries from employees. We can add a new project from scratch here or link to one that's already been set up. NetSuite supports the use of project templates in order to make the better use of your time and get better results on the billing side. Now that we've linked the project in order, any billing details like time and entry and employee expense reports against the project can be refreshed automatically to provide a single consolidated billing view. Let's just take a very quick look at the related project item. Here we can see the tasks and milestones and do the project management tasks that relate back to operations related to this grant. This record also allows the Employee Center users to enter time and expense reports for billable and non-billable transactions. Those expense items and billable time will directly affect the grant financial metrics since the project is linked back to our original record. Now that we've been awarded, set our revenue lines, and billed the first year's grant amount, let's get the CFO or controller to enter a budget category for tracking and reporting purposes. Changing roles here for demonstration purposes showcases the compliance and controls built into NetSuite to assure any user has the correct level of access to key records within the suite. The CFO in this example is responsible to add lines to the budget record, normally done by an import. Let's just add one manually for demonstration purposes. The budget screen shows all lines and can be filtered easily to show only those lines that relate to multiple segments and the attributes we're searching for. Let's relate the revenue budget straight against the state of New York for tracking and fill in the revenue type, grant ID, and time restriction. Remember, normally you'd just be importing a budget or linking to an integrated FP&A tool like Oracle Planning, Budgeting, and Cloud Services or Adaptive Planning. Fields are type ahead sensitive in NetSuite to make keying in data easier. Wildcards are supported when you know what you're looking for as well. Here we're using the time restriction segment to track the year in which the funds are expected to be used. And this view lets us filter out all but the account types that we want to search for. We'll add a budget line against the deferred contract revenue account and save our edits. Now when we filter out everything except the grant we're working on, we can see the 2 expense lines are already saved against this budget. When we look across the budget lines, we know that we can report on all the segment combinations for both revenue and expense. Now when actual expenses hit this grant, we'll be able to report on budget versus actual. Let's go back and look at some reporting to finish up. Since we've created an invoice and scheduled 2 others, looked at related projects and added a line to our budget, let's see some specific grant reporting. From the NFP Solutions Center tab, the grant administrator has access to all the reporting needed for the day-to-day operations in a single system. Here we see the grant expense detail report. Note that here we can clearly see that a single grant can be funding multiple programs, and inside a single report we can get all the way down to the transaction level details of expense reports and vendor bills, journal entries, and the like. Easily exported to Excel, Word, or PDF, these reports can be scheduled to run and automatically emailed to users or run ad hoc and downloaded right through the browser. All of the saved searches and reporting in NetSuite can be shared across roles without fear of exposing delicate information to the wrong users. Without needing to access a menu item or shortcut, users can search for predefined searches like the grant invoices and customize them to suit their particular needs. All of this makes handling grants easier, faster, and less prone to error. In the end, it presents a high level of modern financial stewardship for you, your constituents, and your auditors to share while managing your organization. Let's go back now and wrap up, now that we've looked at the grant administrator role briefly, and see what's next for your SuiteSuccess roadmap. We worked today from the grant administrator role and saw a number of new dashboard features designed to make the day-to-day management more efficient and transparent. We saw our pre-award grant opportunity record, put it to work by invoicing the first of 3 installments. We associated a project record for task management as well as time and expense entry. We also added lines to a budget for reporting and checked out some standard reporting tools to make the daily administrative tasks simpler, faster, and less prone to error. Before we wrap up, let's not forget to mention the large number of SuiteSuccess pre-built reminders, alerts, reports, and dashboard elements included as standard objects in every implementation on day 1 that we did not have time to view today. When we next meet, we'll be discussing specific leading practices and metrics in areas like those that grant administrators are responsible for managing, which we saw today. We intend to map and align your current process requirements with the SuiteSuccess leading practice in each functional area in order to be sure that we create the optimal implementation strategy for you going forward. Thank you for your time today, and we look forward to more SuiteSuccess videos in our playlist.